Hello everybody, in this video we are going to be looking at tangent work planes using the projection tool to project geometry and looking at some other constraint tools that we can use. So at this stage you should have a desk lamp that looks something like this. Just as I begin, I'm just going to show you a few other tools that are quite useful. If your view of your lamp is in the wrong orbit, the home button here is very useful to bring it back to this state. Okay, and what we're going to do today is we're going to create a hole through both of our poles, which later we'll assemble these parts into. But we don't need these for now, so we're just going to move these well out of the way. We're going to turn off their visibility so they're not distracting us. And I'm actually going to turn off the visibility of the other components as well, just leaving me with these poles. Now, what we're going to do is we want to draw onto this cylinder a circle so then we can extrude it through cutting the material away. However, usually when we do a new sketch, we have a flat surface. We usually select a flat surface to sketch on, like this or like this. Previously, we did it on a surface like this on the bottom side of here. But right now we want to draw on a curved surface and we don't have anything flat there to allow us to do that. So the way we do this is we add what's called a work plane or a plane, and because we want a plane to be tangent to that cylinder, we're going to use a tangent plane. So we click this button. Whenever this comes up, always just press capture position, and then we click on the body that we want that plane on. And then we're going to just manipulate the view to try and get it exactly how we want it. And we want it to be parallel to this rectangular piece that we drew previously. And that's looking pretty good there. It looks like it's intuitively understood what we're trying to do there. If it doesn't get to the right angle, you use this tool to rotate it to get it where you want to. You might want to momentarily turn the visibility of things on so you can see that it's going in the right direction. And that's why this feature is really useful. So I've just turned those on to quickly see because we want the screw going through this side. And so that is right now in the perfect position that we want it to be in. So I'm going to press OK on that. Then I'm going to use the look at tool, which to look at that face. So it's really looking straight down at it for me to just double check that it's in line, and I can see that it is, which is fantastic. So now I can orbit round, and we are then going to say, so we have to treat this like we've put a piece of paper on that edge. So now we can tell it we want to draw on there. So we're going to say new sketch on that work plane. And as you can see, we're going to be drawing on this now. However, what we want to do is we want to position our hole right in the middle of this piece and in the middle of this piece. So we could do with using these lines to reference. However, with this new sketch, we can't really use them. If I click here, it's not going to lock onto the center points of these lines because the geometry from there is not on my new sketch. So we're going to project that geometry onto the new sketch. And the way we do that is we press S for search, we type in project, and you'll get this icon here for project. Then we can select any lines from those components that we want to bring onto our new sketch. So I'm just going to take these three lines and I'm going to use them as a point of reference. Then I'm going to press return, and as you can, if I tilt now, you'll see that those lines have projected onto my new sketch, which is on this work plane, this tangent plane, and they give me now a good point of reference. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to say look at that face, so I'll get it all flattened in front of me. And now I can draw lines and it will lock onto the middle point. So as you go along one of these lines, where it goes to a cross with a triangle, that is pointing out that it's the center of that line. So I'm going to draw a line from there downwards. Okay. And now I've got a bit of an issue because I don't want this to be a solid line. I want it to just be a construction line. And the way to turn it to a construction line, if we click it, you'll see we've got the sketch palette here. We can click on construction to turn it from a solid line to a dashed line. Now, a construction line, you treat it like an invisible line. It's there to help you construct your drawing, but you won't be doing anything in terms of a 3D manipulation to it. It's just there as guidance. Another way to do it is you can click on the line and press the X key on your keyboard, and that will also toggle from solid line to construction line. Okay, so I'm going to draw in another construction line across the middle here. And you'll see that, again, I didn't have it set on construction there, but it's not a big deal. I can just select the line and press the X key. And then I have my construction line. So now we have a center point where we're going to put our circle. So I'm going to click on the circle tool. I'm going to draw a circle. And right now, I remember that the diameter is 6 mil of my bolt. So I'm going to set this to 7 mil. Okay. And now that is a solid line, and we can then do an extrusion of that. If this is a construction line, we cannot do any 3D manipulation of it. It has to be a solid line. So make sure you've got that as a solid line. We'll press the E button for extrude. We're going to push it through the other side. I'm going to just manipulate the view so I can see that it's gone all the way through. Some students really exaggerate this. However, it's risky because if you've got components over here that are visible, for example, if I bring that there, it will actually cut into that component. Okay, so it's important to make sure you've cleared the component you want for making the hole, but don't exaggerate it any more than needed. We're going to press return, and then we have the hole exactly how we want it and where we want it. And later on, when we look at assembly, we will bring our bolt and our nut over for that, and we can then assemble it in line. Okay, so that is how you're going to add the hole through here. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to create the bracket, so this metal bracket at the top. The way we're going to do that is we need to add a new component because we haven't got it mapped out here just yet. So I'm going to go right click, new component. This will be part E. I'm going to call it bracket. And now I'm going to start drawing it. And I have a flat 2D face I can work with here, so I don't need to add any more work planes. I'm going to draw on there. I'm going to turn off a bunch of these so I don't get too confused by them. Okay, but I am going to leave this one on just for now. And we are going to draw the bracket now. So I'm going to use the rectangle tool. I'm going to just draw in a random rectangle to begin with. And I'm just going to make it so it overlaps. Now, we could use the dimension tool to set the distance from here to the curve there, or to the center point, to be the same as the radius, but we don't need to do that. We can use these constraint tools up here as well. So this, we spoke about tangents earlier when we made our new work plane, and this works the exact same in 2D. So I can tell this line, I want it to be tangent to that curve there. And I can do the same here as well. And that will just lock the line onto the curve as, as it shows here. Now, what's good about that, I'm going to press the escape key now, is I can't now do anything to that line because I've constrained it, I've locked it onto the curve here. But I can still change these ones if I want to. Okay, and so for example, I could lock that onto there, I could lock that onto there. If I do that, the whole thing is fully constrained now. I can't actually change anything. If I delete these symbols, it will free up those constraints. So I can now move these around if I so choose. Okay. What I'm going to do though is I'm going to use the dimension tool, which is D on the keyboard as a shortcut. I'm going to go from that edge to the center. I'm going to make that 25. I'm going to do the same here. So one click on the center, one click on the line. We drag it down, a third click there, 25. And we're just going to set it like that for now. I'm then going to press E for extrude. Alternatively, you can press finish sketch and then extrude. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude. This is the press pull button, so that's formerly known as extrude, but we'll click that there. Okay. In fact, that's the wrong button. Where's my extrude button gone? Can't find the button now. However, oh, there it is. Okay, so we can find it there, or as I say, you can press the short key E. We're going to select these three areas. We're going to extrude it by 2 millimeters and press return. Now, as you can see, it's in a different color because I've made a new component. And the next job I'm going to do is create a sketch on that face. I'm going to draw a rectangle from this corner now. And it's going to be 12 by 2. We'll press return. I'm going to draw another one over here. 12, tab key 2. Then I'm going to extrude those again. So again, short key E works really well. Alternatively, you can use the button here. And I'm going to increase that by, I'm going to go 30 mil and press return. And there we have the bracket drawn on the top now. I'm going to get those out of the way. I'm going to just turn the visibility off and I'll turn everything else back on just so we can see. I'll activate the whole drawing. And you should then have something that looks like this. Okay. So in this video, we've looked at tangent workplanes to help us cut the hole here through both of those parts. And we also looked at using the tangent sketch tool to help us lock lines, straight lines onto curves. Okay, so these constraint tools are really useful. And just to recap that, I'm going to go finish sketch there. I'm going to go into home view mode and we're going to finish there. The next tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create the lampshade, and we're also going to be using offset planes as well. Okay, I hope that's useful. Thanks for listening.